Para is a special forces unit of the Indian Army's Parachute Regiment and is tasked with missions such as special operations, direct action, hostage rescue, counter-terrorism, unconventional warfare, special reconnaissance, foreign internal defense, counter-proliferation, counter-insurgency, seek and destroy, and personnel recovery. The unit's heritage stems from World War II, with the creation 50th Parachute Brigade in October 1941. History. The parachute units of the Indian Army are among the oldest airborne units in the world. The 50th Indian Parachute Brigade was formed on the 27th of October 1941, comprising the British 151st Parachute Battalion, and the British Indian Army 152nd Indian Parachute Battalion and 153rd Gurkha Parachute Battalion. The Parachute Regiment was formed from these and several other units in 1952. In 1944 the 50th was allocated to the newly founded 44th Airborne Division. In the post-independence restructuring, India retained only one parachute brigade, the 50th. This brigade consisted of 3 distinguished battalions personally nominated by the then CNC, namely 1 para, 2 para and 3 para. During J&K operations of 1947–48, these battalions had distinguished themselves with glory in the battles of Shelatang, now Shera, Jonga and Poonch, wherein they were awarded the respective battle honours. On the 15th of April 1952, the 3 battalions serving with the Parachute Brigade were taken away from the respective infantry regiments to form the Parachute Regiment. Since then the Parachute Regiment has grown to comprise 10 battalions including parachute battalions. In that while 8 para became a mechanized infantry battalion, 21 para joined us from Maratha LI. During their short but eventful existence so far, battalions of the regiment have had extensive operational experience and singular achievements to speak of the level of professionalism. During the Indo-Pakistan War of 1965, an ad hoc commando unit named Meghdood Force, consisting of volunteers from various infantry units, was organized by then Major Meg Singh of the Brigade of the Guards. The unit performed well in combat and the government authorized the formal raising of a commando unit. Lt. Colonel Meg Singh was selected to raise the unit, which was originally intended to be a part of the Brigade of the Guards. However, recognizing parachute qualification as an integral element of special operations, the unit was transferred to the Parachute Regiment and raised as its 9th Battalion on 1 July 1966. The erstwhile members of the Meghdood Force formed the nucleus and the new unit was based in Gwalior. In June 1967 the unit was split equally into 2 to form a 2nd Commando Unit, designated as 10th Battalion, both with 3 companies each. 10th Battalion was mandated to operate in the Western Desert and 9th Battalion in the Northern Mountains. In 1969, these battalions were redesignated as 9 and 10 para battalions. In 1978, the 1 para, as an experiment, was converted to become the 1st Special Forces unit of the Indian Army and was kept as the Tactical Reserve, already a recipient of the Chief of Army Staff Unit Citation twice and GOC&C Eastern Command Unit Citation once. The unit was originally 1 Punjab, which was later redesignated as 1 para and in 1978 was converted to 1 para. The unit is well over 200 years old. On 15 January 1992, the Parachute Regiment Training Center along with the Records and POW, the Regiment moved to Bangalore and occupied the erstwhile location of Pioneer Corps and Training Center. Bangalore is the new key location project of the center. 1995 saw the formation of the 4th Commando Battalion when 21 Mirata Light Infantry was selected to convert to Special Forces and slated for the Eastern Command. After stringent selection and training process that spanned more than a year, on 1 February 1996, the unit under Col V.B. Shinde was formally inducted as the 21st Battalion, the Parachute Regiment. The unit has done well in its short lifespan and is the proud recipient of the Chief of Army Staff Unit Citation twice and GOC&C Eastern Command Unit Citation once, among a host of individual gallantry awards. With the changing scenario in military operations and the need for more Special Forces units, 2 Para began the conversion process from Parachute to Special Forces role, followed closely by the 3 Para and the 4 Para in the year 2004 and 2005 respectively. The attempt did see a little success. The reason it failed to achieve its goal was due to the stringent selection process. 1971 Indo-Pakistan War. The unit first saw action in the 1971 Indo-Pak War. The first 6-man assault team was inserted 240 kilometers deep into Indus and Char-Char, where they carried out swift lighting raids. The assault team killed 473 and wounded 140 on the Pakistani side. In addition, they also destroyed 35mm artillery guns of the Pakistan Independent Battery and took hostage 18 members of the elite SSG of the Pakistan Army. They also destroyed an airfield in Bangladesh. 2 Para, which was a part of 50 Parachute Brigade, carried out India's first airborne assault operation to capture Pooni Bridge in Mymensingh district, near Dhaka. Subsequently, they were the first unit to enter Dhaka. For this action, 2 Para were given the Battle Honour of Pooni Bridge and Theatre Honour Dhaka. In 1984, the Para were involved in Operation Bluestar. They were charged to lead an attack on the holy site of Sikh religion, the Golden Temple, for eviction of Sikh militants in Punjab. 80 members of 1 Para were given the task of assaulting 2 areas of the temple, of which one area required divers. However, there were a number of setbacks as a result of inaccurate intelligence on the strength of the militants who were trained by Gen. Shabag Singh himself, operating low light, the conventional manner of the raid and the lack of incentive, all of which resulted in a mission failure. The diver mission was aborted after the first team got bogged down. The commandos achieved their aims after a long gunfight with militants that lasted hours. Sri Lanka 1987. The late 1980s saw the Para in action in Sri Lanka as part of Operation Puan. However, lack of proper planning by the Indian peacekeeping force and insufficient intelligence on the LTTE's whereabouts led the initial heli-borne assault on Jaffna University on the 11th of October 1987 to be a tragic failure. However, it was later, because of the efforts of the Para, that led to the capture of the Jaffna Peninsula, forcing the LTTE militants to take refuge in the forests. 6 soldiers lost their lives in that ill-fated mission, but unlike the Sikh light infantry who lost their lives gallantly fighting to the last, the Para, due to the superior training, took refuge under a house, after they got misguided by a youth who offered his service to help the commandos track Prabhakaran by taking them for a wild goose chase. They engaged the enemy for a full 24 hours and picked up all their dead with the weapons after reinforcements arrived next morning. After the failed assault on Jaffna City, the 10 Para participated in November 1987 for a heli-borne assault in the town of Mulai, 14 miles to the northwest. More than 200 LTTE guerrillas were killed and an arms depot seized. In order to give the commandos battle experience, one para was rotated home in early 1988 and replaced by 9 para. This battalion was scheduled to return home in June 1988, but the tour of duty was extended due to a planned air assault into the coastal swamps around Maldives. The mission was a great success in that it located several arms caches. The 9 para also provided 12 men for the security of the Indian High Commission in Sri Lanka. Operation Cactus 1988, Maldives. With the capture of Maldives, an island nation off the southwestern coast of India on 3 November 1988 by PLOTE mercenaries, the Army turned to the 50 Parachute Brigade to carry out an airborne, air-transported operation to liberate the country and return power to the legal government. This operation had 6 para spearheading the mission. 6 para flew in on 4 November 1988 in a fleet of Il-76 and 32 and 12 transport aircraft. One team rescued the president, another took over the airfield, and a third rescued Maldivian security personnel besieged in their NSS HQ. Later 7 para and AMP, part of 17 para FD Rect, were also deployed to the Maldives. When mercenaries tried to escape by sea along with hostages, they were intercepted by the Indian Navy. Thus, 6 para, 17 para FD Rect conducted the first ever international intervention by the Indian Army without any loss of life. Para took part in hostage rescue mission in 1995. The 1995 kidnapping of Western tourists in Kashmir was an act of kidnapping of 6 foreign tourists by Al-Faran, an organization of mainly Pakistani terrorists, now known as Harkat al-Mujahideen, from the Lidawat area of Pahalgam in Anantnag district in South Jammu and Kashmir on July 4, 1995. One hostage was later found beheaded. Later Indian security forces decided to storm the building to rescue hostages. It was a partially successful operation, since none of hostages were found, but resulted in the death of Abdul Hamid Turki, whom the army identified as the leader of Al-Faran, and 4 other Al-Faran members. 1999 Kargil War. In 1999, 9 out of 10 parachute battalions were deployed for Op Vijay in Kargil, which bears testimony to the operational profile of the regiment. While the Parachute Brigade cleared the Mushko Valley intrusions, 5 para was actively involved in the forgotten sector Batalik, where it exhibited great courage and tenacity, and was awarded the COAS unit citation. Operation Kukri 2000, Sierra Leone. Operation Kukri was a rescue mission conducted by the 2 para in Sierra Leone. June 2000. About 90 operators commanded by Major Harinder Sood were airlifted from New Delhi to spearhead the mission to rescue 223 men of the 5/8 Gorkha Rifles who were surrounded and held captive by the Revolutionary United Front rebels for over 75 days. Just 90 para force 2,000 to 5,000 members of the Revolutionary United Front divided into 5 battalions to surrender that ultimately led to the liberation of Freetown. On April 11, 2009, the 57 Mountain Division of the Indian Army based in Manipur, para commandos along with the paramilitary Assam Rifles and State Police, launched a counter-insurgency operation, codenamed Operation Summer Storm, in the Loktak Lake area and adjoining Kabul Lamjau National Park of Bishnupur district, located south of state capital Imphal. This first major mobilization of troops this year ended on April 21. As the troops began pulling out, the Army spokesperson described the operation as a success, disclosing that 129 militants, all belonging to the People's Revolutionary Party of Kargil were killed. The forces also claimed to have located and destroyed 5 militant camps during the operation and seized 10 weapons, including 69 AK series rifles, 48 rocket launcher, and an unspecified quantity of explosives and improvised explosive devices. No militant was arrested. No fatality among the Special Force personnel or civilians was reported. Ongoing COIN operations in J&K and eastern states. Paratroopers and para have conducted thousands of COIN operations in J&K, Assam and the eastern states in India. Sometimes these units work with Rashtriya rifles in complicated operations. Since the mid-1990s, the role of paratroopers and para as a counter-terrorism force has increased substantially. They are now actively involved in counter-terrorist and counter-insurgency operations in Kashmir as an essential part of the Home Ministry's decision to conduct proactive raids against militants in the countryside and mountains. Personnel include paratroopers, NSG and special units of the Rashtriya Rifles, a paramilitary unit created for counter-insurgency operations in Kashmir. They may also include Marcos personnel, many of whom are seconded to the Army for CT operations. Counter-terrorist operation in Samba. On September 26, 2013, terrorists dressed in army fatigues stormed a police station and then an army camp in Jammu region, killing 10 people, including an army officer, in twin Fidane attacks after they sneaked in from across the border early on Thursday, barely 3 days ahead of a meeting between Prime Ministers of India and Pakistan. The attack was on a police station, and the 16 Cavalry Unit of the Army in Samba district falls under the jurisdiction of 9 Corps, headquartered at Yul Cantonment in Himachal Pradesh. The 3 heavily armed terrorists, believed to be from a Lashkar-e-Taiba and who were holed up in the camp of the Cavalry Armoured Unit at Samba for several hours after they barged into the officers' mess, have been killed during a fierce gunfight with 1 para of army. The bodies of the 3 terrorists aged between 16 and 19 are in the custody of the army. Authorities moved commandos of 1 para in helicopters to the shootout site. The para commandos first carried out an aerial reconnaissance of the camp before landing there to neutralize the 3 terrorists. The 1 para had identified the exact spot during the aerial recce from where the FFS were returning the army fire. After landing, the commandos started engaging the terrorists in a direct gunfight. But in order to give them an impression that their exact spot of hiding had still not been identified, an abandoned building inside the camp was blasted. This made the terrorists complacent that the hiding spot had not yet been pinpointed. They kept on intermittently returning the army fire till all 3 of them were eliminated. The entire operation from the moment the terrorists entered the camp until they were gunned down took nearly 9 hours to complete. The main worry of the soldiers tasked to eliminate the terrorists was the army public school situated some distance from the place where the terrorists had been engaged in a sustained firefight. Army men were worried about the possibility the terrorists moving into the school and taking children and staff as hostage. That is why the exercise to eliminate the terrorists was carried out with extreme caution and patience. Counter-insurgency operation in Myanmar 2015. Based on precise intelligence inputs, the Indian Air Force and 21 para carried a cross-border operation along the Indo-Myanmar border and destroyed 2 militant camps, one each of NSCN and KYKL, along the Indo-Myanmar border. The operations were carried out inside the Myanmar territory along the Nagaland and Manipur border at 2 locations. One of the locations is near Kargil in Manipur. The army attacked 2 transit camps of the Naga militants. 70 commandos were reportedly involved in the operation. The commandos, equipped with assault rifles, rocket launchers, grenades and night vision goggles, were divided into 2 groups after they fast-roped from DHRUV helicopters just inside the Indian territory near the border with Myanmar. The teams trekked through the thick jungles for at least 15 kilometers before they reached the training camps. Each of the 2 teams were further divided into 2 subgroups. While one was responsible for the direct assault, the second formed an outer ring to prevent any of insurgents from running and escaping. The actual operation took about 40 minutes. Mi-17 helicopters of the IF were put on standby, ready to be pressed into service to evacuate the commandos in case anything went wrong. In its statement after the operation, the Indian Army said it was in communication with Myanmar and that there is a history of close cooperation between our 2 militaries. We look forward to working with them to combat such terrorism. Indian Army has claimed to have inflicted heavy casualties on the attackers behind the ambush on Army on June 4, which claimed the lives of 18 Army Jawans of 6th Dogra Regiment in Chantal district of Manipur. This has been marked as the biggest attack on Indian Army after Kargil War of 1999. Organization: the Parachute Regiment presently has 7 Special Forces, 6 Airborne, 2 Territorial Army and 1 counter-insurgency battalions in its fold. The regiment has tried raising new battalions to augment the strength of the Special Forces. However, the task hasn't been completed due to the tough selection phase. In the mid-1980s, there were plans of taking away the 3 para-commando battalions from the Parachute Regiment and bringing them together under an individual, specialized organization, the Special Forces Regiment. However, after several logistic and administrative obstacles, these plans were abandoned and they continue to be trained and recruited by the Parachute Regiment. Para operate in assault teams, which work individually behind enemy lines, whereas the paratroopers work in large teams and coordinate with other units as the role involves occupying large areas behind enemy lines. The total strength of the regiment stands about to 4,500, with the majority being in the paratroopers, while the para stands about 1,200 operators. They have to hide their identity from general public. Functions: intelligence collection, special reconnaissance, subversion and sabotage of vital enemy infrastructure and communications through deep penetration and surgical strikes behind enemy lines. Covert and overt direct action special operations as part of the Indian Army's counter-terrorist and counter-insurgency operations. Hostage rescue operations within and beyond Indian territory. Personnel selection: all Indian paratroopers are volunteers. Some enter the para-regiments fresh from recruitment, while others transfer in from regular army units. They are put through probationary period selection process of 3 months for paratroopers battalions and 7 months for para-battalions. In order to be a para, all personnel are first required to qualify as paratroopers. Once selected, the candidates may choose to advance to the SF selection, which takes place twice a year in the spring and the autumn term. It is one of the longest and toughest phases in world, where the applicant is exposed to sleep deprivation, humiliation, exhaustion, mental and physical torture, The selection has reported deaths in the process itself. The attrition rate is very high and is in between 90 to 95%. Training. The initial training to be a Special Forces operator is 3.5 years, the longest anywhere, but the training is also a continuous process. In the Special Forces, the members are imparted both basic and advanced training. They are taught specialized mode of infiltration and exfiltration, either by Air or sea. Some trainees return to PTS to undergo the free fall course, which requires at least 50 jumps from altitudes up to 33,500 feet to pass. Both HALO and HAHO techniques are learned. The ability to use the HAHO method and specially designed maneuverable parachutes called HAPPS, AMX 310 to conduct stealth insertions over distances up to 50 kilometers is also perfected. For combat diving training, the commandos are sent to the Naval Diving School, Kochi. Like other special forces, these para-commandos are trained for land, air and water. Daily routine begins with a 20 km morning run, infiltration, exfiltration, assault room and building intervention, intelligence gathering, patrolling, ambush tactics, counter-ambush tactics, counter-insurgency, counter-terrorism, unconventional warfare, guerrilla warfare, asymmetric warfare, raids and sabotage, martial arts training, tactical shooting, stress firing, reflex shooting, buddy system drills, close quarter battle, tactical driving, advanced weapon courses and handling, sniping, demolition training, survival skills, linguistic training, logistic training, tradecraft training is imparted by the intelligence agencies. The training drills involve live ammunition at all times, which has also become a reason for fatal accidents at times leading to death. Night and weapons training and fieldcraft involving 20 km treks with 60 kg loads and live ammunition are conducted. Weekly forced marches with 65 kg combat loads with distances over 50 to 80 miles and quarterly night drops with full combat loads are also conducted. In addition to this in-house training, the commandos also attend a number of schools run by the Army that specialize in terrain and environment warfare. These include the Junior Leaders Commando Training Camp in Belgaum, Karnataka, the Parvat Ghatak School in Tawang, Arunachal Pradesh, Desert Warfare School in Rajasthan, the High Altitude Warfare School in Sonmarg, Kashmir, and the Counter-Insurgency and Jungle Warfare School in Verente, Mizoram, Indian Special Forces Training School in Navhan, Himachal Pradesh. These schools are among the finest of their kind anywhere and routinely host students from other countries. Members of USSOCOM and UKSF have conducted joint training exercises with the Indian Paras, and SOF members from the three nations routinely train at each other's facilities to improve military cooperation and tactical skills. This allows the SOF operators from each nation to see tactics and perspectives offered by other top-notch organizations. U.S. Army Special Forces have also conducted joint HAHO training with the Para in 1992, underwater training in 1995, and anti-terrorism training in 1997. It is thought that the French Foreign Legion also has approached CIJWS regarding the courses taught by them. Para can also undergo a complete combat divers course, in which they earn a combat diver badge. They are also experienced in conducting SHBO and typically employ Cheetahs, Mi-8, Mi-17 HAL helicopters for this purpose. Joint exercises with other nations. The Para conduct a series of joint exercises, named VJRAPRAHAR, with the United States Army every year, in which about 100 personnel from the U.S. and Indian Special Forces participate. Indra series of joint exercise with Russian Special Forces, Operation Sampriti with Bangladesh Special Forces. Para also conducts exercises and training with Special Forces of Israel. Ajay, a warrior series of exercise with regular infantry units of UK. Indian Special Forces conduct exercises with forces of the following 16 friendly countries: the United States, France, the UK, Russia, Mongolia, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan, Bangladesh, Myanmar, Nepal, Maldives, Seychelles, Singapore, Indonesia and Thailand. International competitions. Personnel from the Para have participated in international competitions, including Cambrian Patrol. This exercise was designed to test the endurance, combat efficiency, and combat readiness of the Special Forces community. In 2014, 140 teams participated and a team from the Indian Army won a gold medal. Equipment. Para have access to various types of infantry weapons required for particular missions. Small arms pistol, auto 9mm 1A semi-automatic pistol, Glock 17 9mm semi-automatic pistol, Beretta 92 9mm semi-automatic pistol, Heckler & Koch MP5 submachine gun, Micro Uzi 9mm submachine gun, Iwi-Galil assault rifle, Iwi-TAR-21 Tavor assault rifle, M4A1 carbine, MPIKM-S72 East German-made side-folded Kalashnikov rifle, PMMD-90 assault rifle, VZ-58 Bayer assault rifle, SVD Dragunov semi-automatic sniper rifle, Iwi-Galil sniper semi-automatic sniper rifle, Mauser SP-66 bolt-action sniper rifle, PKM general-purpose machine gun, UKVZ-59L light machine gun, MG2A1 general-purpose machine gun, AGS-17 Plamia automatic grenade launcher, C90CRRB disposal rocket launcher, RLMKII 84mm recoiler rifle, B300 Shipun 82mm rocket launcher, transport C-130J Super Hercules tactical transport aircraft, HAL DHRUV utility helicopter, all-terrain vehicles, HAL Cheetah utility helicopter, insignia. Para personnel, like other parachute troops in the Indian military, wear a maroon beret. In addition, they wear a Special Forces tab on each shoulder. Personnel who serve in the Para are allowed to wear the Battalion patch on the right pocket below the nameplate, which is similar to the Shash beret insignia. Only Para commandos are allowed to wear the patch. Para personnel may grow beards, as this allows them to blend in with the civilian population, especially in Jammu and Kashmir. The insignia on the beret is drawn from the near-identical insignia of the British Special Air Service.